So my story took place in Makkah on Hajj. It was 2004, and I believe I was 19 years old. I traveled, just had a baby son at home, and I was doing Hajj with a group of brothers who I started practicing with. And the whole Hajj experience was an amazing experience. There was so much hardship. I think we were on the cheapest package you can get. Even the flight going there was difficult. And subhanAllah, we got to the rites of Hajj and the Jamrat, and we were there, and it was so packed. It was really, really crowded. I remember the heat, the intensity, for those of you who have been, the humidity, the lack of oxygen, especially when the crowds are really tight. And subhanAllah, we went for the stoning, and, the crowds were just, it was crazy. Yes, I remember, the Afghan men, they were really huge, big guys. They had a big crowd. And I remember the African sisters who were there, and also, the Far Eastern Indonesian groups as well, who had all their colors coordinated. And it was just like nations just like squashing into each other, really packed in that area. And it was really hot. And I remember it got to a point where we just couldn't move anymore. I was with a brother, Abdul Qadir, a friend of mine, and we were there and we couldn't move, and people were slipping. And I remember Abdul Qadir, he slipped, and I put out my arm and I grabbed him. And at the time, I didn't think much of it. Your friend slipped, you grab him, and he came back up and he said to me, "Saleem, I saw bodies on the floor." I couldn't believe that. I thought maybe there's some exaggeration, maybe somebody slipped. He says, "Saleem, subhanAllah, I nearly died." And, in the heat of the moment, it was just really manic. And I think I took my shahada a few times during that experience, and I just didn't know what was going to happen next. And it was as though the people had lost their minds. The people, had completely lost it. And it was always as though we were the only ones who were sane to try and find a way out, or to try and stop people from doing what they were doing. But we just couldn't do anything. We were helpless. I was helpless. Hearing my friends talking about seeing dead bodies on the floor, we just wanted to get out of there. But because it was so packed, we couldn't get out, and it was really, really cramped. And in that moment, I didn't raise my hands. I couldn't raise my hands. But I remember saying to Allah, Allah, please send something. Allah, please send something to cool these people down. And it was just, and I'm sure there must have been thousands of people that made that same dua or asked Allah for the same thing, because I just couldn't see a way out. We couldn't physically get out. There was people falling on the floor. There was crowds coming from different directions, as I said. And subhanAllah, eventually, as you go with the flow, with the waves, as those who know, when you go for Hajj, I ended up, managing to get out of the area. And subhanAllah, just as we got out of the area, subhanAllah, the skies opened and it started pouring and pouring. And it was really fierce rain. It was so fierce. And subhanAllah, it rained and it flooded. And the whole walk back from the Jamrat back to the Haram, it was full of obstacles as well, because the roads were flooded. I remember we found one of our friends, one of the brothers in our group, who was stuck under a barber shop shelter. There was a group of us that then had to get taken into this building, which we later found out it was an electric storage area, which was dangerous. Subhanallah, another friend we saw who had cut his head, and there was hailstones coming down. But subhanallah, I think the key thing was, in that moment of desperation, where you're not at peace, you're just really, really desperate, you're weak, you're powerless, and you just say, Ya Allah, please send something. Allah, please send some help. Please send something that will cool these people. And that was my dua, subhanAllah. And like I said, I'm very sure it wasn't just my dua. There must have been so many others. And, subhanAllah, we're fortunate that when those calamities happen, when those trials come, Allah allows us to remember Him, because there are those that, maybe within that stampede who fell and never got back up, and who died and didn't have the opportunity to make dua. So I'm very grateful that Allah gave me that opportunity, one, to survive, and two, to call upon Him to make that dua in my time of desperation. And that was my dua story.